could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello, everyone. Today we're meeting Alain Dumonceaux. He is the Purposeful Action mentor, a coach, and a podcast host. Hello, Alain. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on the show today, Anna. Looking forward to our conversation.
Yes. So let's start our conversation with diving into your story of becoming the person you are today. So, what led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I started doing this work actually after two incidents that happened about 5 years ago. The first one was my wife and I went through a very challenging time in our life where there was infidelity involved in the relationship, and I wasn't sure if we were going to make it through. This is my second marriage, and thankfully, I'm married to an individual that was so powerful and so strong that saw the person inside of me, the man inside of me that still needed to come out, and gave me the opportunity to actually really dive in and do some work. Now, I had done some work prior to that, been taking some classes, done some courses. And while that was great, I knew it intellectually, but I didn't really feel it in my heart. And I sure didn't embody it as the man that I claimed to be. And the second thing that happened was that my father-in-law lived a couple of blocks away from us, and he was really truly my best friend. We hung around and did everything. And when he ended up by passing away, I was the one that ultimately had to find him. And in finding him and seeing somebody who's so close to me and in the condition that I found him, I just felt that there was just nowhere for me to go. So these two instances happened in such a short period of time that as a man, I just felt very uncomfortable going into different places to be able to talk about the things that I was dealing with. And so when I looked around to see what was available for men to be able to go and share and be in a place where there's no shame or blame or judgment, I noticed that I recognized that there was very few, if any, places for men to do that. And so I felt that this was something that needed to be done. And this calling just kept driving me towards creating this space. And so that's what I do here now with the Awakened Man. And, we spend time really helping. We're just ordinary guys looking to live extraordinary lives.
Right. And it was a struggle for you. It was hard for you to kind of heal from what you experienced in the past and to go to that next level. And you needed somebody to listen to and to help you, to guide you through that process. And I know, especially for men, it's they consider it kind of like a weakness to start talking about their emotions and mental health. And with you creating that opportunity for them to be open to share and to know that it's safe space for them to talk, to speak up. That's something important, and I feel like a lot of men would benefit from it. If you can just elaborate more of what Awakened Man is, what the purpose behind the company, and I know you started a podcast as well, The Revolutionary Man, is that right?
That's correct. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely, for sure. So I started the organization. Really, I asked when I was going through all of these challenges, and I started to think back about, how was I working? What was I doing to reveal all of who I am, and really starting to accept some of the parts that weren't necessarily the best parts of me, but still needed to be able to integrate. And so I was fortunate enough to have a group of 10 gentlemen that were kind of like my guinea pigs. They were my test group. And we created this, they trusted me enough to create this program to go along. And so ultimately what came out of that is the Awakened Man. So we created this module. The first module I called the Return of the King. And what it's all about is being able to ultimately craft your life purpose statement. What is the reason that you get up in the morning every day? And without purpose, then we end up by just sleepwalking through the days of our lives. We have no real reason to do anything. And what I found is, as I started to do this work, that men were struggling in lots of different areas, because inevitably we all hit a wall. Whether it's a marriage that's not working, it's a career that's been stagnated, and even if your personal life might be flatlining, there's something that men need. And so I created this program to enable men to break through those walls. And then when they are able to do that, then they can accomplish more, become more, and live more. Because we've really been hiding who our true selves is, because of how we've been raised. We've been raised to really be quiet and not show emotion. And then you see that from a family dynamic, but then on the social and society dynamic, when you look at all of the movies over the last 50, 60 years, it started with the Western movies, and then it got into more and more action movies, and all of it are the attributes of one part of masculinity and what men are. And so we have this mixed message of, who are we as men? How do I show up? Am I supposed to be the gunslinger Western guy? Am I supposed to be like Jean-Claude Van Damme? Or am I supposed to be that quiet, nice guy? And what I find is that both ends of those spectrums are not what true masculinity is and what men are. And so the work is to help men really become centered in who they are and get an understanding of what their values and beliefs are, ensuring that they're their values and beliefs and they haven't been borrowed, either through family, through other influences, whether that be society or elsewhere. And when we started to do that work, what I found is that men then started to get an opportunity to really express what was really hidden and buried inside of them. And when that starts to happen, the change is so phenomenal for men, that they truly start to come out and really lead them, not only themselves, but lead in their areas of wherever it is that they're doing in life.
Right, because they need to kind of get in touch with their true self. And to do that, it takes time and effort, and also courage to look into, your emotions and why you react in this way. So what kind of triggers you, and give yourself permission to heal, to let go, and to become that better version of yourself. And I know that it's especially for men, knowing that as they've been raised, they've heard certain stories and messages from their family, relatives, how they're supposed to be, how they're supposed to act, react. But again, it's not who they are, and they need to kind of let go of that stigma and start looking into healing themselves, because like you said, it then reflects to all areas of your life, relationship, career, and everything start to grow just naturally.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? Absolutely. And so what we do in this work is not, we started with this first, I called them the pillars, the 5 pillars of man. That very first pillar was really about finding your purpose and really finding it and then living from it. And then the other pillars are about identity. And that's really where we start to unpack things. And I use the foundation of the work from Terry Porter and the man box, and really starting to look at where do these messages come from? So we start to really look at the different ways that we see ourselves in society, and start to get a better understanding about, well, why do things happen? So that's where we start to get into some shadow work. We start to look at how we see sex and intimacy, and we really start to unpack that aspect of it, because we've been led unconsciously, because we don't tend to do the work as well, that we have these false beliefs and these false images about how relationships should be and what we should do. And so that leads to the third pillar, and the third pillar is all about connection. And actually this year in our work with the Awakened Man, we have I should go back, I'll finish the 5 pillars and I'll talk a little bit about our group mentorship program. but we're dealing with connection. This whole 12 months, we're dealing with the different aspects of connection. And so that we can have a better understanding of how it is that we can be more in tune or attuned to what's happening around us. And then most of us will be involved in one primary relationship. And that primary relationship will be a marriage. And so we have a whole module just to deal with what it's like to be in that, how we are compatible in the relationship, how we show up in that relationship, and to help guys who are struggling in their marriages. And then the last one is we always live by a code of honor. And so we follow the Ben Franklin model, where we have 12 virtues of one for each month, and we focus on one virtue for the month. And so this month we're focusing on vulnerability, and the idea is to help guys have some practices on how to become more vulnerable. So it'll be standing up, doing things like standing up and saying what you truly mean when you feel uncomfortable. And for a lot of men, that's very challenging to do. And so all that is all part and parcel of a program that I actually have two different programs. The first one is a group mentorship program. We call it the Band of Brothers. It's our monthly piece. It's the one that gives opportunity for guys to come in and start to do that work. It's heavy work, and it's not too terribly intense. And because they're in a group environment, it gives them an opportunity to be in a space where it's free of shame, blame, and judgment. And then ultimately, once they get comfortable in that, I find that then they needed a second level of support. And so we have something that we call the Hero's Quest, and that's more of a 90-day challenge, a time for them to really dive into a specific aspect of their life that they want to really break into and work on that and fix it. And so when I put this all together, it really gave the opportunity now for us to uncover every stone. When you come in, the men that are most successful are the ones that are willing to do the work. They're willing to look in the mirror when it's uncomfortable. They're willing to ask questions. They're willing to step in it. And it all starts because we create a safe space for them to be able to do that.
Yes, and also, they need to realize that they're not doing it for themselves, but also for people around them. And it's just going to be a ripple effect of them acquiring certain skills and letting go of limiting beliefs, whatever stopped them from being that best version of themselves. And now they can affect others that they have relationship with, either professionally, personally. And the work that they doing, it really is their investment in their future growth. So this is something every man, I think, not just men, but women also. But in your case, you mostly focused on men, if I understand correctly. And we need to kind of like prioritize our mental health. And I know it could be hard. It could be hard to be honest with how you feel, because we're also hiding behind that mask. We're pretending, we're playing by society rules and whatever that means. And again, like, it's hard to be honest with yourself, but this is how it starts. We shouldn't be afraid looking deeper to understand who we are.
Completely agree. And I think, I focus on on the men's work and on the men's aspect of it, but we do a little bit of couples work as well. And the thing is that, if I was to paint it with a really wide brush here, women have been doing this for much longer than men. It's women who attend most of the courses and seminars. It's women who are, more in tune with the connection and that aspect of life. Whereas from a male perspective, we're more in the doing of life than the being of life. And I think the time has come now, as if we're seeing a shift in masculinity and being able to embody all aspects of it, and to be able to integrate some of the things that can be where we can be assertive but not aggressive. where we can be doing things, but not stepping over top of people. And I think the time has come for men to be able to acknowledge that that's the work that we need to do, and that there's strength when we do that, as opposed to thinking that it's an actual sign of weakness. And maybe I know the research that I do, but in the top 5 leading causes of death for men is suicide, and that's a mental health challenge because men don't know how to talk about stuff. They don't know how to handle their emotions. They don't know how to approach situations. And when I was going through some of the trauma and the work that I was doing, I could see that not only for myself, but even speaking with friends. Some of my closest best friends just didn't know how to handle it, didn't know how to approach that, how to be supportive, how to create that container, the space that we could grow and learn from the experience. And even I did, and I still, and while I lead this group, I'm still learning as well. I'm still growing, and I think we never stop growing, right? But it's just so important that we continue we have a lot of catching up to do. And I think there's we're doing the right things, and being on podcasts like this, like yours, and with mine, The Revolutionary Man, it was, I started that as a way to give back to men and to women who have important men in their lives that are struggling, and they don't know what to do. They don't know how to help them. And that if the work that I'm doing here, can save a marriage or save somebody's life, or, help them, get up the next day and take it on, then I'm doing the right thing.
Absolutely, I agree. And we should start talking more about mental health, and with us, sharing tools and advice for people so they could be equipped with a situation like that, knowing that they could speak up. They're not alone going through this. A lot of people struggling with the same thing. I feel like a lot of people feel that this is, it's only them experiencing this, and you wouldn't understand me if I even talk to you. And that's not the case. We all know what that feels like. Most of us know that. So we shouldn't be ashamed, shouldn't feel guilty about it, but just be courageous enough to ask for help. Know that this is something that I need to work on, and it's not just for me, and I'm the one making the decision, and I should prioritize my health, because then after that, everything will fall into place.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree with that. And I think that's so important that you're what you're saying is that when we can start to take the way I say it is that I know men are ready for change. At least I knew I was ready for change when I was prepared to take responsibility for 3 things. One, with where I was in life. When we take a moment and stop and look and recognize everything that's around us, our careers, our relationships, the amount of money I have in the bank, everything. We have to take responsibility for where we are, because it is the thoughts and the actions up until this point that has led you to where you are. And when we start with that as a foundation, then we have somewhere to go. So we take responsibility for where we are. And the second thing we need to take responsibility for is for who we are. Well, I evolved and have become this individual, but that doesn't mean that I can stay as this. There are parts of me that I wish to keep, but there are parts that need working on. So the moment that I've recognized that, hey, this is where I'm at, this is who I am, because my actions have revealed that this is what I have, this is who I am. Now I can start to make some changes. And then the third thing we take responsibility for is who we want to become, or who we aspire to become. Because now we can create that action plan for the things that we're going to change, the things that are giving us the most pain, and to start to make progress towards something that's better, the true meaning of who we are. And one of the ways that I do that with men is I get them to complete this sentence. I'm the kind of man who, And then whatever you put after that is the is what the aspiration and the embodiment of what you want to become. And that can work for anyone. I'm the kind of woman who, and I find that sentence completion exercise so powerful, because once you've said that, then there's no going back. You've given yourself the opportunity to look at that and say, yes, absolutely. Yes, I can do that. Now you may tweak it as you go along, but the point of the exercise is to, okay, now you're starting to have some purpose. You're starting to have some direction. And when we have those in place, then we can start to evolve and really live in the be part. As I keep saying, men tend to be, we're more doers and less beers. And I feel that my experience is that women are more the beers, like they really women embody the aspect of the wholeness of themselves while doing it, whereas we tend not to do that.
Right. I think like this beers, it's more intuitive approach to life. That's what women are. They mostly like deal with emotions, and they mostly tune intuitively to their senses, and they kind of try to live using all of that. But for men, it's a different approach to life, and they mostly action oriented, go-getters, and that's why for them it's a struggle to tune into their emotions and to listen to themselves, to be quiet and to find that place where they balance and they understand what's going on. Because like you said, you have to embrace who you are now with what you have, because all of that is your doing. So you created that life, right? Mm-hmm. You're the one created that life. You're the one who can change it. So once you have that power, then you can set yourself some action steps and go towards that direction. But again, like it comes back with you realizing it. Self-awareness is number one, and then moving forward. Some people right now, like stuck in their careers or life, they feel like there is no escape, and something needed to change, but they don't know where to start. What would you advise them to look into when they feel that kind of depression that just starting to overwhelm, and that they don't feel like they can do anything?
Yeah. The first thing I'd ask them to start is what are they comparing it to? Are they comparing that vision to something that is from themselves, that, okay, I'm X years old and I thought I would be here in my life and I'm not. And then that goes back to that first taking responsibility piece of where you're at. So the first thing I would suggest is to really take stock about where you are in life today. And then when you can do that, then you can take the opportunity now to start to ask yourself, where is it that you want to go and what needs to be changed? Because for many of us, we think that it's a wholesale change. Everything has to change. But my experience has taught me that more than likely, it's an identity challenge, and that we've seen ourselves and we've told ourselves this story that Alan is blah, 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 all these things. And if we didn't check off all the boxes, if I didn't check off all the boxes, then I'm not that. And the reality is that it's only a small part of who we truly are. And we don't measure ourselves on the other things that we bring to the table. And so it starts with that piece to have an identity of where you're at. And when you start to look at that, it may be a bit challenging to ask those. So of course, I would recommend that they reach out and to speak to somebody to help guide them on that conversation. Because sometimes it can be, depending on if it's a career, as you were asking, we may be in this career because that's what our parents thought we should do. Or it's the old golden handcuffs challenge, right? You're making really good money, you've set up a lifestyle, but who says that you had to quit that to go pursue a passion? Can you find the time to do your your passion, the thing that lights you up, that fills your energy tank. Can you find some time, carve out some time and have that conversation with your loved ones to be able to go and do that? This is exactly what I'm doing today in growing the Awakened Man business, is making that time to help flourish it and grow it and nurture it. And so I think, to answer your question, those would be a couple of things I would get them to do.
Right. And we just need to know that there are opportunities out there for us to kind of like elevate ourselves. And we need to be open to see those opportunities and not kind of focusing on the problem, but mostly on the solution. How can I get better? What can help me? And again, with us creating that safe space, you know that you can ask those questions freely. You don't have to hold on and suffer for a long period of time. Again, it's up to you to find that way out, and know that it's possible. If one person did it, you can do it too. So you just need to kind of find that place where you let go of certain fears and worries that holding you back usually. And what we usually scared of unknown. If we don't know something, that's what scared us. And we usually know what's familiar, and familiar is certain patterns that repeating, and it doesn't mean it's good, it's just familiar and we're comfortable, right? And if we need to see, if we want that change, we know that change comes with feeling uncomfortable, with feeling, with seeing unknown. And again, we don't know what to expect. And it comes back to us feeling scared in a way, but again, like that place could lead you to a better life, and we need to find courage to speak up and to ask for help.
Yeah, completely agree. And if there was another piece I would add to that, it's that you don't need to have all the answers. What I'm recommending is have a look at the vision that you have for your life. And if it's changed or it needs a change, that's okay. That's great. If it doesn't need to change, that's great as well. But what's the one thing that you can do today? You just one thing. The longest journey, they say, is from here to here, right? From our mind to our heart. And it's about getting out of our heads. And that's why I spend so much time in my men's work, giving the facts and the figures to get men to, because we tend to be a little bit more analytical, to get that part out of the way. So now we can start to work from our heart to understand the reason, the embodiment of moving forward. And then we can start to make that journey from our heart into our bodies to really incorporate the things that this is what my vision for my life is. And in order to have that life, this is the person I need to evolve and to become. And it's always much more like you can go and do it on your own, but it's much more powerful when you do it with others.
I agree. And I'm thankful that organizations like yours exist, and we see a lot of changes in the society with having those type of practitioners out there and certain tools that we use to help others. And I hope this work will continue and we will evolve in a much healthier society.
Well, that will be the goal. I think we are in a great amount of change right now. I really see there's lots of change, and I think the old paradigm of what used to be is starting to shift. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all moving forward, and ideally, my vision for the world is that we have everyone living from a centered place. They know who they are, they know where they are, where they're going, and when we come from that place, nothing but good can come from it. And so it's about getting away from our extremes of the things that we've been led to believe are who men and women are and who everybody is, to who is Anna and who is Alan? Who are we? And living from that piece.
I can't agree more. And that's something to think about. I'm so happy we had a conversation. Thank you so much for your wisdom and thoughts. And I hope you enjoy your day.
Yes, thank you so much.
Bye. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.